Well, hello and welcome to this English lesson where I'm going to help you learn a whole bunch of words that you can use to describe things. I did a lesson on this a while ago and it was a very popular lesson. People who are learning English love to learn, it seems, how to describe people and things and places and animals. I think I did one on as well. So I thought I would look up about 35, 40 words again that you can use to describe things, and I will go through this lesson and talk about them a lot. Remember, this is more than a vocabulary lesson. It's important to also listen to the phrases I use during this English lesson as I describe each and every word. So once again, welcome to this English lesson about describing things, part 2. The first word is smooth. There are a number of different words in here. Some you'll know, and some maybe you don't know. Smooth is probably a word you know. In this picture, you can see that they have probably marble countertops. And when you slide your hand on a countertop like this, it's very smooth. It's not, there's no bumps. There's no roughness to it. It's a very smooth surface. People often in their kitchens like to have a smooth surface. They like their countertop to be smooth. Because when something is smooth, it's easy to clean. It's easy to wipe off if you have like a towel or a cloth. And it's easy to keep it, I'm saying clean, but also ready to prepare food. It's nice to have a smooth surface so you can keep it clean so that you can prepare food safely. The opposite, of course, is rough. This is sandpaper. If you look at the thumbnail for this lesson, I had some bricks on there. Sandpaper is very rough. When you slide your hand along it, it doesn't go easily. It's very rough. It can even hurt a little bit sometimes. When you pick up a brick, if you are making a wall with bricks, the sides of the bricks are usually very rough. They could be smooth, but normally bricks that I've seen have been fairly rough on the outside. When you have something rough, you can make things like sandpaper that you can rub. You can rub sandpaper on wood in order to make the wood smooth. So it's interesting that something that's rough, like sandpaper, can be used to make something like wood smooth. Very, very cool. We also have the word reflective. Let me make this bigger. You can see this person is skating on ice. They are not walking on water. They are skating on ice, and the ice is reflective. I think they're skating. It looks like they have skates on their feet. When something is reflective, it means it is like a mirror. If we go back to the countertop, you'll notice it's a little bit reflective as well. And certainly when ice freezes and is very smooth, the ice becomes reflective. Sometimes a really nice car will have a paint job which reflects light really well, and the car itself is quite reflective. People sometimes enjoy having a car that's painted in a way to be reflective. But when something is reflective, it is like a mirror. Rusty. When you leave things outside that are made of iron or steel, eventually they rust. The air, I think the oxygen and the metal together create rust. Rust is this brown substance. I had an old truck in my driveway for a year, and people were commenting on how it looked really rusty. When something is rusty, it's usually old, and it's definitely made of metal. In fact, the other day, I hooked my trailer up to my van, and I noticed the hitch on my trailer was very rusty. So I got a wire brush, and I used the wire brush to clean the rust off of it. It was very rusty. Rust's not good. Rust means that something is starting to fall apart. And we also have the word damaged. When something looks like this window, we say that it is damaged. It is no longer whole. It is no longer the way it used to be. So when something is first made, we say it is brand new, but eventually it starts to get worn out. And eventually, if something happens to it, it can be damaged. If you drop your phone, I don't have my phone here. If your phone hits the ground really hard, it might be damaged. And then you would say, my phone is damaged. It no longer works. I broke it. We also have things like the word used. When you buy something that isn't brand new, we usually say that it's used. Probably the most common word we use with this, or the common term we use, is the term used car. Often in North America, sorry, I'm just pulling my handouts up here. Often in North America, when you buy a car, you will buy a used car, a car that has already been owned by someone else, and now you are buying it used. So many of the things I have bought in life, I have bought used. I bought a used tractor. I bought a used van. My other tractor is a used tractor. I don't buy a lot of things new. Granular. So here's one that you might not know. When something is granular, it's made up of a lot of little pieces, a lot of very similar sized pieces. Sand could be said to be granular. When you put fertilizer on your lawn, or if you buy fertilizer, it's usually granular. Basically, that means it's made up of grains or little pieces that are somewhat uniform and close to the same size. It wouldn't be all exactly the same size, but when something is granular, it looks like that. It comes in really small pieces. Sugar would be granular. There's another good example. Skimpy. Ooh, this is a difficult one to talk about for me because I might get embarrassed. Sometimes people wear bathing suits that you might think are too small, depending on how you think people should dress. Sometimes men and women can wear a bathing suit that's too small, and then we would say it's skimpy. So you can see here, I found the least offensive pictures I could of small bathing suits. But if you were to wear a really, really small bathing suit, someone might say, oh, that bathing suit is skimpy. Comfy. So comfy is the short form of comfortable. When something is comfortable, it's a word of its own though. Like comfy is a word. I think it's informal English, but when you say, oh, this couch is comfy, the seats in your car are really comfy. I've used this office chair for a long time because it's comfy. And whenever I try out a new one, I don't think it's comfy enough for me. So when something is comfy, it's soft, it's comfortable, it's enjoyable. It's always good to have at least one comfy chair in your house. Mushy. So these are mushy peas, by the way, that was the best example I could find. When something's mushy, it's not a solid, but it's not a liquid. It's kind of somewhere in between. So it is a little bit like a liquid in the sense that, if you touch it, you can poke your finger in and out, and it's not hard, it's not solid, but it's also not a liquid in the sense that you can't really pour it. So something like mushy peas are mushy. When you make mashed potatoes, sometimes the mashed potatoes can be a little bit mushy. When I drive on my driveway, when it's really wet, if I go off the side, it can be a little bit mushy. So soft, and if you drive on mushy ground, you sink in. Hollow. So when something is hollow, it means that there is just air on the inside. This is a hollow log. Sometimes a tree can be hollow. The most disappointing thing in the world is when you get chocolate and you think it's solid, but it ends up being hollow. At Christmas, there are different kinds of chocolates that kids get, but also at Easter, sometimes children will get a chocolate Easter bunny. And sometimes they're disappointed when the Easter bunny is hollow. They think they got a big, huge chocolate Easter bunny, but then when they open the box and start eating it, they realize it's not solid chocolate, that it's actually hollow. Always a little bit disappointing for kids when that happens. Curved. So I do not have a curved monitor. My monitor for my computer is flat, but a curved, anything that's curved, it has like an arc to it. So this monitor you can see is curved. You might have something, let me see here, like the front of your car might be curved, right? So anything that's not straight and has a slight, I want to say curve to it, but that's not the right way to define the word curved, let's just say it's not straight and it has an arc to it. We'll say that for the word curved. This pan is flat. When something is flat, it means that it is not curved. It is not bumpy. It is not rough. Well, I guess it could be rough and flat. But when something's flat, like when you put your hand like this, your hand is flat. No curve. It doesn't go up and down. It is flat. We often use pans to fry things that are flat. You can also say that a tire is flat. When a tire on your vehicle has no air in it, we say that the tire is flat. So a couple uses of the word flat there for you. Shallow. When I look outside, I wish I had a camera set up. There are puddles outside in my driveway because it rained overnight, and I would say that they are shallow. When you step in them, they are only this deep. They're about 2 or 3 centimeters deep. When you go to the lake or to the ocean, when you walk in, it's very shallow when you first walk in. When you go further out, it gets deeper. But when you first walk in, it's shallow. Maybe only your feet get wet, or maybe the water only comes up to your knees. And I see someone saying, as flat as a pancake. Great phrase. I should have mentioned that. When something is really, really flat, we say it's as flat as a pancake. A pancake is an item made out of wheat and sugar and oil that we eat with syrup, butter and syrup in North America and other parts of the world. I think there's pretty much some version of a pancake in every country of the world, but they're very flat. Icy. So we're having a weird fall here in Ontario, Canada. It was icy yesterday. It was really wet and warm the day before. It was snowy and icy the day before that. Today, it's supposed to be warm again. It's supposed to be 7 degrees. I know that's not warm for you. But on some days when it rains and then it freezes, it's very icy. So we have rain coming down, and when it hits the trees or things that are outside like my vehicle, they get very icy. They have a layer of ice on them. The other day, the road was icy on the way to work, and that was a little bit dangerous. Loose. There's a number of different ways to use loose. When you tighten a nut onto a bolt, if you don't tighten it all the way, we would say it's loose. Sometimes the lug nuts on the tire of a car, they come loose, and sometimes they fall out and the tire can fall off. We also use the word loose to talk about clothing. This t-shirt is not tight. This t-shirt is loose. Sometimes when you exercise a lot and eat really healthy food, you lose weight, which is a different word, but your pants become loose because maybe you normally wear a certain size pants, and because you have lost weight, you have gotten smaller, and now your pants are loose. Prickly. This is a cactus. A cactus has really sharp needles on it, and we would describe it as being prickly. I do not have any cactuses, or is it cacti? Sometimes even Bob the Canadian doesn't know the correct word. I don't always have, I don't always know how to pluralize certain words. I think cactus becomes cacti, and I'm not sure if virus becomes viruses or viri. I think it's viruses. Anyways, you're here to learn about prickly, not about how to pluralize cactus, hopefully. A cactus has lots of needles. A cactus is prickly. There are bushes that we have on our property that have little thorns on them, and we sometimes say they're prickly. Okay, so anything that has little pointy needles or pointy things on it. So the question is needles or thorns. We kind of use it interchangeably. We have thorn trees behind our house that have really sharp needles on them. We have thorn trees that have really sharp thorns on them. You can kind of use the word interchangeably, and you would say they're prickly. Definitely. They're definitely prickly. And then also I'm noticing in the chat someone mentioning that a person can also be prickly. Yes, someone who is easily angered and not happy and kind of grouchy all the time, you might describe them as being prickly. Hey, when it rains a lot, it's wet outside. When you spill water, I spilled water on my desk yesterday, so it was wet. My desk was wet yesterday. There was a wet spot on my desk. Actually, I didn't spill water. My cup had a hole in it, and so it leaked, and some water pooled on my desk. So my desk was wet yesterday. Bumpy. So we had this question earlier. When something is bumpy, the best way to describe it is it has all little bumps on it, okay? When a road is bumpy, it means that your car goes up and down unexpectedly. Sometimes when you are flying in a plane, the captain might say, we're going to experience some turbulence up ahead, and then the ride might get bumpy. The plane might go up and down. But it also means when something has lots of little, I guess, bumpy spots like this. Once again, I'm glad I have a picture here because I'm describing bumpy using the word bumpy. Creepy. So we did a lesson on Halloween a couple months ago. When something is creepy, it means it's scary. It means it's something that certainly it's the opposite of exciting or happy or fun. This is a picture of a skull, and it's dark, and the light is kind of coming from a funny direction, and it's very creepy. It makes you possibly a little bit scared or a little bit afraid. Dusty. Let's make this a little bigger. When they come and harvest my crops, it's very dusty because the crops are dry when they harvest it. A lot of dust comes out of the back of the combine, and it's very dusty. In our house in the winter, because we have all the windows closed and we run our furnace to circulate the air, it's actually very dusty. In fact, I have to dust, like if I look, there's dust on my computer right here. You can't see it, but there's dust on my finger. My desk is dusty. So in the winter especially, I think because we circulate the same air all the time, our house gets quite dusty. Speckled. So we just got some new chickens, and those chickens have just started laying eggs. And even though the chickens are white, the eggs that they lay are light brown and speckled. When something is speckled, it means it has some little dots on it. Okay, so you can see here these eggs, I think these are actually for Easter. These eggs are not one color. They have little dots on them. We would say that they are speckled. Simple. When something is simple, it means it's easy. It means it doesn't have a lot of parts to it. The best explanation would be this. A bowl of cereal is a simple breakfast. If you want to have a simple breakfast, you put cereal in a bowl, you put milk in a bowl, you eat. It's very simple. It's not complex. If you wanted a croissant for breakfast, that is not as easy if you make it yourself. You need to make sure you have the dough and the ingredients and the time. It's a lot more difficult to make a croissant, but it's very simple to have a bowl of cereal, or it's very simple to go to the bakery and buy a croissant. That's a simple way to get a croissant. Sticky. So I think we've all used Post-it notes in the past. Post-it notes are a little piece of paper, and along the top, there's a part of it that is sticky, and it allows you to put it onto things and it will stick when it's there. This laptop is going to the extreme. Obviously, if you put that many Post-it notes on your screen, you're a little bit too busy, but you can put them there because they are sticky. So when something's sticky, it means you're able to put it onto something and it will stay there. Other things are sticky as well. Honey is sticky. In our lesson about food, I talked about how honey is sticky. Sometimes my children will spill some juice on the counter, and then later in the day, I'll accidentally touch that spot and I'll say, oh, it's sticky. Why is the counter sticky? Did somebody spill some juice? Once again, Bob the Canadian always blames his kids when something goes wrong. Blazing. I think I did a lesson a long time ago about fire. When a fire is really big and bright, we say that it is blazing. It's a blazing fire. The opposite would be a fire that has almost gone out. A fire that is smoldering. That's when there's hardly any flames and just lots of smoke. But certainly when a fire looks like this, you would say that it is blazing. It is definitely burning really, really well. So buoyant. So when something is buoyant, it means that it floats. I'm not buoyant. People are supposed to be able to float when they go in water. I've never been able to master that. But often when you go out to the ocean, you will see things that are floating, and they float because they are buoyant. Okay. Let me just check something for a sec. I'm saying buoyant. Let's check if there's another pronunciation. Buoyant, yeah. So you might hear people sometimes say buoyant, but I say buoyant. So there might be a couple different pronunciations there. There's another word coming up in a bit that has the same thing. So I see in the chat people are like buoyant, buoyant, buoyant. There must be two pronunciations. There we go. Economical. This car is very little. That means it probably did not cost very much, and it probably uses very little gas. So you would say that it's economical, okay? So when something is economical, it means it did not cost a lot to buy it, and it does not cost a lot to keep using it. So economical. This car is definitely economical, I would say. Elegant. So elegant is an interesting word. It means like beautiful, refined, nice is a simpler way to say it. This flower is very elegant. It has beautiful petals. It's very detailed. It has nice colors. When you see sometimes, Jen bought a really nice dress this past year, and when she wears it, she looks very elegant. The dress is very elegant. It's just really nice material. It's really nice to look at. So elegant simply means attractive, beautiful, just nice if you want to use the word nice. Firm. So let's talk about firm. When something is firm, it's not soft. When you go to the store and you buy, let me think. When I buy bananas that are green, they're very firm. They're not ready to eat yet. They're hard. But eventually the banana turns yellow and it's a little bit soft when you touch it. So when something's firm, it means it's hard. We often in English talk about having a firm handshake. I guess during COVID, no one shakes hands anymore, but it's considered good to have a firm handshake. If your hand, if you're strong and you grip someone's hand with some force and you shake firmly, it's considered to be a good thing to do. So firm, two kind of meanings there. It means to not be soft, like the banana example, but also when you shake someone's hand, you want to have a firm handshake. Rigid. When something is rigid, it means it does not bend, or like if you really force it, maybe it bends a little bit. A wooden ruler is rigid. It's very straight. It does not bend very easily. So when something's rigid, it means it does not bend, or if it bends, it only bends a little bit and you really have to use a lot of force, which is different than flexible. These rulers are made out of plastic, so they're very flexible. You can bend them and they go back to their normal shape when you're done. So when something's flexible, it means you can easily bend it. A wooden ruler is rigid. Like the bow from a bow and arrow is flexible. When you pull on the string, the bow flexes. Hygienic. So hygienic is used to refer to anything that is clean or can be used to make things clean. Or it can be used to describe actions that are done in a very with a lot of cleanliness. Basically, hygienic refers to to being clean. Soap, when you use soap, you want the soap itself to be hygienic. When you clean your counter, you do that because you're being hygienic. You want things to be clean where you prepare your food. So hygienic is basically used to describe anything that is clean or the process of making it clean. Like it's very hygienic to brush your teeth every day. It's a good thing to do to keep your teeth clean. Intense. Sometimes the sun is very, very bright. Sometimes when you go outside and if it's a very bright, sunny summer day, when you look at the sun, the light from the sun is very intense. Here in Canada, when you go outside in the winter, believe it or not, when the sun is shining and there are no clouds in the sky, and when the ground is covered with snow, the light can be very intense. If you ever watch some of my videos that I shoot outside on a winter day when it's sunny with no clouds, it's actually hard for me to keep my eyes open because the light is so intense. The light from the sun, and then the sun also reflects. The snow is reflective, by the way, just to use that word again. The light reflects off the snow, and so it can be very, very bright. That's why when you go skiing, you often wear goggles that have some sort of tint to them, so they act like sunglasses. Malleable. Some people say malleable, malleable. When something is malleable, it means that it's usually a metal that you can shape without it cracking. So you can shape it easily without it breaking or cracking. So some of the softer metals, I would say gold is malleable. Lead is probably malleable. Like it's, as opposed to something like hardened steel is not very malleable, but gold and lead I think would be. So when you have a metal, any kind of metal that you can form either by hitting it with a hammer or pressing it in a machine, we would say it's malleable. And then pliable. So when something's pliable, it's similar to flexible. Like when you wear a leather belt or when you make something out of leather, leather is very pliable. You can bend it and fold it and twist it, and it doesn't damage the leather. It's soft and you're able to move it one way and the other. So pliable, similar to malleable, but not as specific to metal. Means it's somewhat flexible. You can reshape it and those kinds of things. Rugged. So when you describe something as rugged, it means rough, natural, like this. If you had to hike around this rock, we would say the hiking trail is very rugged. And we would probably, as a person, say that you're a very rugged person. So a rugged person is someone who enjoys the outdoors and does things that kind of the opposite. Let me put it this way. A rich person might drive a fancy car. A rugged person would probably drive a Jeep and go hiking and mountain climbing. That would be the difference. But when you look at this rock in this area, it's a very rugged area. So it would be very difficult to hike and walk there. Sizzling. So when you have something like bacon or steak, sometimes it's sizzling. So having some sizzling bacon in the frying pan is a nice sound for some people if you do eat bacon. But sizzling is something that's hot and making a sound like zzz. That's my sizzling sound. Zzz. I've tried to do my best impression of something sizzling. And then we have snazzy. So snazzy can be used to describe a person, but you can also use snazzy to describe a thing. So for instance, this person is wearing a snazzy suit. Snazzy means cool or new or really, really neat looking. Like, oh, he got a snazzy new car, or he has a snazzy new truck, or wow, that's a snazzy new suit you're wearing. It just simply means impressive, maybe glamorous a little bit of that word as well. But definitely when somebody buys something new that they wear, or a car they drive, or even jewelry can be described as snazzy. You know, I got a snazzy new watch. I didn't actually. This watch is like 12 years old, I think. But you could use the word snazzy.